welcome back to the channel. Today I'm doing my, I guess I'll call this the end of 2020 reading wrap-up or something like that. I have 5 books to talk about on this one, so let's get right into it. The first book I finished since our last wrap-up is The Web of Ascension by Brandon Sanderson. This is book 2 in the original Mistborn trilogy. I read book 1 back in April, I think, and I talked about this extensively. I will link my review for The Final Empire, which is book 1 in the series, down in the description and also in the info cards above. I really enjoyed this book. I've spoken about how much I enjoyed The Final Empire before, so I won't talk about that too much, but I think this was a great continuation of the series. I've heard a lot of mixed stuff about this book. I heard that people think it's too slow, that it focuses on the wrong stuff, that people don't like certain plot lines that are introduced. I can see all of that, but I disagree with all of that. I think that this book, yes, it is slower than the first one, but I think it does probably the best character work in the series. It does some amazing stuff with a few of the characters. It builds some really cool relationships. I think this book really develops the characters in a way that makes the things they do later on in the story make a lot more sense. And yeah, I think this book is really underappreciated. I know there's a few things that people don't like, especially one plotline that has to do with one character. I think everybody who's read this book knows which one I'm talking about. And I think it wasn't the greatest plotline that was in this book. I don't think that character was great, but I don't think it was a bad plotline either. So yeah, I can see why people don't like this, but I like it, and I like it even better than the first book. And yeah, so I think this has some, as I said, of the best character work. I think the political intrigue in this book is really well done. I think the slow build up to the ending is also done quite well, and the way that everything in this book clicks into place in the ending, like I think the ending of this book, it's so amazing. It has one of the biggest shock moments I've read. The epilogue of this book is amazing. There is so much stuff that happens in this book, and I guess the one thing that I could see is people who saying that maybe it could have been shorter, which I'm a bit torn about. I can see why people would have issues with the pacing in this book, but I just didn't. So yeah, I don't know. I think I like most of the stuff in here. I think the characters in this are really good, but I don't think they're quite as complex as I would like. So that's the one thing that I think if that would be better, this would be even higher for me. As it stands, I think this is a great book. I know a lot of people don't like it. I know a lot of people will disagree with me, but that's what I think. And yeah, so good book. If you like The Final Empire, you should read this. The next book I finished was on audiobook, which is Full Moon by Jim Butcher, which is another book too. This one is the second book in the Dresden Files series. Full Moon was good. Again, I think it was quite similar to Stormfront in the quality. Again, this is one where people say that it's not as good as the first one, but I think they're both similar. I think there are some things that Full Moon doesn't do as well, which is making the plot make sense, but I don't mind that. These are fast-paced fun books for now, so I didn't mind some plot twists or some convenient things that happen. I didn't mind that too much, but those do happen, and those do happen more than in the first book. But I think there is stuff that is even better than in the first book, because I think I liked some of the action sequences in this book better than in Stormfront. So this book deals a lot with werewolves, and yeah, I liked the whole background on werewolves, though I think it was a bit over the top. I like some of the hints we got, which will probably be explored in the later books in the series. I like Stormfront already. Again, I have a review for Stormfront. I don't have one for Full Moon yet. I'll probably make one quite soon. But yeah, Full Moon, I liked it. I think this is seen as the worst book in the series, which, if that's the case, is great, because I think I'll really enjoy this series. I'm actually reading the third one right now, or listening to the third one. I'm doing the audiobooks for this series, and they are amazing. James Marsters does the narration, and he does a great job in it. So yeah, Full Moon, again, if you like Stormfront, I think you should continue with Full Moon. I heard that a lot of people don't like these books until books 5, 6, or 7. That's not the case for me. I don't think they're anything extraordinary, but I don't think they're bad either. So yeah, if you want a fun book to read or some fun audiobook, I would recommend the Dresden Files. Alright, the next book I finished is the third book in the Mistborn trilogy, which is The Hero of Ages, which, again, I think this is even better than the second book. So that means the Mistborn trilogy, I think it gets better with each book. I think this is an amazing conclusion to the series. The way everything falls into place, the way things are resolved, the way that the character development in Well of Ascension continues here and then is paid off at the end is amazing. I think when I was reading this book for the first half, I was a bit confused why certain things were happening the way they were happening. But then by the end, I think this is the book where I had the biggest turn of mind, because like I was really liking the first half, but I was like, there is something missing. Like it feels like he's focusing on the wrong stuff. And then by the end, I was like, okay, I really appreciated everything that I thought was kind of like wrong in the first half. I appreciated all of that even more at the end. So I obviously can't say why because of spoilers, but I'm planning to do a series review for Mistborn. I'll talk about these books extensively in those. I don't know when exactly those will come out because I am quite busy right now, but I hope I will get them out sometime in the beginning of February. I love this book. I think this really, with this ending, I think Mistborn has become my second favorite series right now. I haven't read too many series, so this could change. I'm expecting that the more I read of Brandon Sanderson, especially when I read the Stormlight Archive, I'll like that one even more. But yeah, The Hero of Ages is a great conclusion to a great series. If you like fantasy with good magic systems, with a great plot, with good world building, good characters. I wouldn't say great character work, but I would say good character work. I know a lot of people disagree with that, but personally I like these characters. I think the character work is good. I don't think it's great because I think most of the characters are dealt with in a way where they have like one or two things or one or two aspects of their personality that is really developed. So it's not quite as complex as I would like, but I still think it's really good. I really like it. I think each book is better than the last, so yeah, please read it. The big book I read towards the end of the year. This one took me quite a while, but I think I enjoyed it all the way through. This is probably my second favorite book of the year 2020, that is. And that is A Dance with Dragons by George R.R. Martin, which is book 5 in A Song of Ice and Fire. This book is great. If you've been around here, if you've talked to me on Discord, you know I've really enjoyed this series. I took my time with this book. I took a break between each book in the Song of Ice and Fire to really not be done with it too quickly, and I loved each and every one of these books. I know a lot of people don't like books 4 and book 5 in this series, but I completely disagree. I've talked about book 4 a bit in my last wrap-up, I think. I will be doing reviews for these books individually at some point. I think I did the first book last year, like I did a review for that, but I have yet to review books 2 through 5, but I'm planning to, because I feel like I get why some people don't like where the series went after book 3, but I think that the way that the series develops is very deliberate on Martin's part, and I feel like the way he develops is amazing. And also, like, I had seen the show before, and I feel like these books, so books 4 and 5 were the ones where they really diverted from the books, and I feel like if they had done what is happening in the books, it would have been so much better. I think the character work in this book, I think some of the plot lines in this book are amazing. There is obviously some issues with it, because obviously, so if you don't know, this book and the last book, they start at the same time. We split POVs by geography, so A Feast for Crows, which is book 4, focuses on a few characters, and this one focuses on another set of characters, but then towards the end we get all the characters again. So yeah, so it's basically one big book that has been split in 2, which I think a lot of people don't like. I also I think it may be better if you actually put them back together, which there is a reading order where you can put them back together and read them like as originally intended, as much as possible, like if you can even say that. So yeah, I think it may be better, because there are some things that I feel like that are mentioned in the 4th book that happen in this book, where if you actually see them in parallel, that they might work better. It's an odd situation, because both of these books are really good, and I love the thematic work, I love the character work, and I love how the plot develops. I know a lot of people have issues with the pacing, which I agree with to some extent, because yeah, the pacing really slows down in these last two books. But I feel like book 3 is such a fast-paced book compared to everything else in this series. So I feel like book 3 really sets the expectations of the pacing too high that it can feel a bit jarring getting into these two books where the pacing is really slow again. But the way I see it, it's like Martin is really resetting us to move the story forward, because there's a lot of crazy stuff that happens in book 3. If you have read that book, I think book 3 is my favorite book of all time that I've read, so it's hard to follow that up. And I think what he does here is he is taking the characters and he is moving them in a way that we can move forward with the story. And I think it makes a lot of sense after everything that happens in book 3 to really focus on the characters and see how they react to everything that happened and how their lives change. So while I understand why people wouldn't really appreciate the way these books are written in terms of structure and in terms of pacing, I think it's a deliberate choice and I really enjoy it. Obviously, if you're expecting the craziness just to go forward like it was in book 3, I think then you will be disappointed. But yeah, I think the way this is written makes a lot of sense. I think there's a lot of, like, in terms of writing, I think these two books are probably the best. There's a lot of, like, pondering over certain ideas, over certain issues that you just couldn't do in a faster-paced book. A Feast for Crows and A Dance with Dragons probably have some of the most cited passages in the series. And I think there is a reason why that is, because they do not focus on the plot as much. They focus on the characters. They focus a lot more on what happened to the world in the first 3 books and how the aftermath affects the world. So yeah, I thought a lot about this. I have a lot more to say about these books. Yeah, so I will do reviews, and the thing is, I don't know how to do reviews about these books. These are that big. There's a lot to say about these books, and a lot has been said about these books because obviously this has been out for a while. But yeah, I love this book. I do have some issues with it, but I think in terms of character work, this is probably the best I've read, and it will be hard for anything to get close to it. So yeah, I mean for the whole series, not just this. So yeah, there's a reason why there's a big gap for me between the A Song of Ice and Fire books and any other book I've read so far. But I hope I have some stuff planned for this year that I hope will get close. But yeah, more on that later in a different video. Alright, so that was a long thing about A Dance with Dragons. And yeah, I finished A Dance with Dragons, I think on the 30th or 31st of December. So, and I wanted to read something short on the last day. So I decided to read a short story by Brandon Sanderson. So I read The Hope of Elantris, which is in Arcanum Unbounded in there. Yeah, this is a story that takes place at the end of the book Elantris, which I also have a review for. I'll link it above. Yeah, The Hope of Elantris is a very short story that kind of shows us a bit more about the ending of Elantris, and I really liked what he was doing here. Like, I don't think it's anything like you have to go out of your way to read, but I think it was a nice addition. It isn't something that I think would have fit in the novel, but I think as a short story, it's an interesting thing to see. And yeah, if you read it, I would really recommend that you also read the postscript of this story that Sanderson wrote, where he talks about why he wrote it, which I thought was really nice. So yeah, I really liked this book, or this story. Yeah, I enjoyed it. If you like Elantris, or just if you want to find out a bit more about the ending of Elantris, you can read this one. It's a nice, sweet, short story. That's the last thing I wanted to talk about. So lots of Brandon Sanderson, a big Martin book, and a good audiobook by Jim Butcher. So yeah, that's all the books I wanted to talk about today. If you want to talk with me about any of these, talk with me about it down in the comments down below. I will be doing reviews, as I said, for most of these books. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, leave a like, leave a comment, leave a subscribe. Yeah, thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.